Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to the beginning of our mindset program. I'm super excited. I'm a little bit right now. I'm a little flustered because I was trying to get on here on time. When I schedule these ahead of time, Facebook sometimes will boot me out, and I'll have to redo all of my stuff. So, anyway, I'm going to wait just a second, see if anyone hops on. But today is going to be all about awareness, really. Awareness is the beginning of all mindset work. And so I'm going to kind of set the stage for the rest of the course as well as do a bunch of coaching. So, all right. Let me see if I can get my agenda going here. Where is it? All right. Oh, well, we'll just do this. Okay, so I have to get to my notes. Is what I'm doing right now. So today is the 19th. All right, why is this doing this? Anyway, where's my agenda? Training. Sorry, guys, just one second. Trying to figure out why it's not. Oh, there it is. I couldn't see my scroller. Okay. All right, so for those of you who don't know me or who aren't super familiar with me, my name is Joy Pearson. I am a holistic health and empowerment coach. I'm going to tell you guys kind of what holistic health means and what that actually, what I do here in just a second. But I really want everybody to kind of settle in over this week and start becoming very mindful about what we're going to be working on. We're getting to know each other as well as sort of starting to think about our habits a little bit deeper and figuring out what exactly we want to change, what we want to shift, and what maybe we don't need to shift, because sometimes habits are for other people and not really us, and things like that. So I can't stress enough how important it is that you really do your best and commit over these 4 weeks. I have made this program so that it's as simple as possible, so that you can hop in here, watch the video once a week, do your journaling on your own time, and do as deep work as you want to. But I've made this so that you don't have to do a lot of work other than what you want to put into it. So if you just watch the videos, you're going to get something out of it. You're going to grow from that. You're going to start shifting your mindsets and your habits just from watching the videos. However, if you do the journaling work, because I will be posting 3 journal prompts at least each week, that is meant to get you thinking on a deeper level about your habits. If you do that work and you go deep on it and you follow sort of where your brain leads you down the rabbit hole and really get deep into this stuff, you'll have a way better outcome at the end of this. You'll feel like you really, if you apply yourself in this 4 weeks from now, your entire how you view your habits and your health will look entirely differently. I promise. So I'm really excited. I'm going to get rolling on this. And by the way, you can still, no matter when, you can still bring other people into the group and they can still catch up, because I'm still going to be posting everything in the group, so they can literally go back from video 1, video 2, video 3, and still get it all. So if you know people who might need this, then please bring them into the group. I definitely welcome that. Another little bit of housekeeping. I value so much your guys' participation when we do these. Everybody really does. Everybody gets something more out of it if you participate, as not just you, but it helps keep other people thinking and gets them thinking about things that they wouldn't have before. and supporting each other and all that, holding each other accountable is all so valuable in a group program. So I decided I'm going to give away two 50% offs on my upcoming intensive in January. This is a super sought after program. It's a higher end program. 50% off is an amazing deal. And so you can get that. And if you decide you don't want to put any money up front, you don't want to do that program for the 50% off, that's okay. You can instead do 2 one-on-one sessions with me instead of that. So that's up to you how you want to do it. The way we're going to win these prizes is by participating, which means liking. So if you watch a video or you see a post, you need to be liking and commenting on those posts and being active. You can also be posting inside the group. So if you do your journal prompts, you can share those inside the group with your takeaways and that sort of stuff for extra participation. And the top 3 people every week for participation. Facebook does this awesome thing, and it shows you who have been, who in your group has been really engaged in your content, and it will tell you how many times they have interacted in your group. So what I'm going to do is I can see each week the top 3 people who have contributed by posts, likes, and comments. And those people, those top 3 people get entered into a raffle where I'll draw at the end of the 4 weeks. So at the end of the 4 weeks, what's really exciting about this is I'm giving away 2 prizes, the same prize, 50% off, or 2 one-on-one sessions. But what is really cool about this is that only 12 people max should end up having raffle tickets at the end of this. So you have a really good shot. You have 1 in 6 chance of winning this if you get a raffle ticket in any of the 3 weeks. So you could potentially be in the top 3 for 4 weeks and get 4 raffle tickets. So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it's a very, very good chance of winning these. So that program is my holistic healing and harmony program. It is a holistic mind, body, soul healing program, and just fantastic. My favorite, my signature program, and I love it. And the girls who have done the program all gave amazing feedback, and it's just a great program. All right. Okay. So what is holistic health? And some people kind of define this a little bit differently, but for my coaching, holistic health is takes into account, it's sort of acknowledges and emphasizes the interconnected nature of our mind, our body, and our spirit. So I also work into that nature. So I'm also an alternative health practitioner, which means I look for natural sources before like a Western medicine type of a remedy or something. So my goal as a coach is to work with people on getting away from their medications if possible. Of course, working in conjunction with their doctors and whatnot. But so what this means for me, mind, body, spirit, our mind is controlled. So they're all interconnected, which means our mind is controlled with our health. So our mind isn't going to work in a healthy way unless our body signals and our body cues and our hormones and all of this stuff is healthy. As well as, and then it goes for our body. So our mind also sends our signals our mind sends signals to our body as well. So our mind, brain health has to be good as well. Those two are very, very, those work scientifically proven to work hand in hand, your body and your brain. It's central nervous system working with your body. So spirit comes into this because I believe that unless we are in touch with our higher self, so this is where I get kind of woo-woo in my spirituality. I have a very heavy science background, chemistry, actually. Chemistry and physics go hand in hand. So I did a lot of physics and different types of sciences, evolutionary biology and anatomy and physiology and all of this stuff. And I just believe that we have a higher self, a higher spirit, a higher power guiding us in our life when we're able to tune into that. And that means intuition and everything. And in studying the pineal gland in our brain and the calcification of our pineal gland and how that impacts us on a spiritual level, I believe, and if you have never researched this, it's just quantum physics is just fascinating, and that's what this is. There's pineal gland is where you have little crystals in your brain in this little tiny gland that are bouncing around, and when it gets calcified, those crystals no longer are able to bounce around. And so without getting going off the woo-woo deep end with you guys, I just believe that we get signals from that pineal gland in our brain that we can't tune into unless we have detoxified our pineal gland or have kept it healthy and keep it healthy. So and there's a lot more to it, why I believe that the spirit is such an important aspect in this. But for me personally, when I was, have gone through my stages in life where I haven't been as spiritual, I just am not as able to grow. Like I just am not, it's not on the forefront of my mind, and I don't feel as able to do things. I don't feel, kind of like I have my hand being held or whatever, which is, I'll get into a little bit here in a little bit why that's also important. But so holistic health means keeping it as clean as possible, so as non-toxic, close to the earth as possible, and then also taking into account our systemic physiology of our mind, body, and spirit. So if you guys have any questions about any of this, be sure to let me know. Pop them in the comments or post in the group. All right, so Carol Dweck, I'm going to show you guys. Carol Dweck has this amazing book called Mindset, right? The New Psychology of Success. And this is the basics of growth mindset. So she is sort of the founder of all mindset work, and it started working with children on their learning that if kids just thought that let me clarify my thoughts real quick. If children believe that they have control over their growth, then they are found scientifically to do better later on in life. So kids who were taught that they were born super smart, for example, and they've been always told, oh, you're so smart, you're so smart, you're so smart, later on in life might struggle because they believe that you need to be born with a specific skill in order to succeed or excel at that. So it's super powerful work, her mindset work, and all mindset work starts there. So if you, this is the growth mindset versus fixed mindset is what she does. And if you are stuck in a fixed mindset, it will affect you in all different areas of growth. So it's a specific philosophy. And so this book helps people sort of become really clear about which one of the philosophies they've kind of been following in their life. And then the awareness of that helps to shift from that. So I just highly recommend that book for all of you guys. It's available on Audible and all over the place. But I will show it to you one more time. So it's Carol Dweck, Mindset. This is the very first mindset book she ever did. So there's other ones, but that's the one that I recommend everybody start with. My husband really enjoyed that book. It's kind of an easy read, and she uses a lot of analogies and stuff to kind of make it really fly by fast and stuff. So, all right. So now I'm going to dig into the training. So if I put an emoji on there, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's like a pen emoji on these. These are ones you might want to take notes on. So because this is we're doing the work, right? We're doing the deep work. So I prefer that you guys take some notes. I may post a follow-up. I haven't decided exactly if I'm going to post the follow-up notes or not, because I really want you guys doing this part. So taking notes while we're doing the rest of this video is highly recommended for you guys to get your good results. All right, so with your goals, so goals can be anything. Goals can be big or small. It can be, we've been talking a lot about habits. And so a goal can be just shifting one habit. But a lot of the times a goal is bigger and it requires more than one habit to be shifting. So like, for example, if someone wants to lose weight, a lot of the times there's nutritional habits, and then there's the fitness, adapting a new fitness habit or different things like that pop up that they, sort of have to start shifting. So with goals, I always tell people to start strategizing and reverse engineering your goals and really figuring out what has to be changed, which habits need to be changed, and which ones can you just sort of tweak a little bit. Because a lot of the times we get more overwhelmed than we need to be in a habit because we haven't really spent the time just to plan it out, just to strategize a little bit and figure out how to make it a little bit easier. So if you're someone who falls into that trap of like following someone else's example all the time and like following someone else's plan and just kind of going with that, I urge you to sort of step back from that a little bit and start really looking at your own lifestyle, and because it's going to be different from somebody else. So strategizing is always, whenever we're trying to hit a goal or be successful, strategizing is going to be huge. A lot of the times we'll have a goal like, I had a weight loss goal, but I didn't ever think about all of the other small goals that go with that. The getting up in the morning to work out and all of the other little goals that I would have to set. And so I would find myself really frustrated because I couldn't hit this big goal that I was shooting for. But really, I wasn't hitting any of the little goals that it took to get there. So be aware of those, really, when you're writing this out and discussing your goal, whether it's if you want to quit drinking, what habits need to change for you to quit drinking? What is triggering you to drink? What are the times that you're feeling most called to drink? There's oftentimes more than one thing that's going to have to shift in order to quit drinking. It's having conversations with people in our lives because they probably don't understand how important it is to us that we do this. Or maybe we're hiding the fact that we want to quit drinking because if we say it out loud to our peers, they're going to hold us accountable or something like that. So these are the awareness things that you guys need to be writing about over the next couple days. Whatever your goal is, if it's clean eating, for example, how many different habits need to change just to adapt a clean eating lifestyle? If you are feeling tempted to drive into a fast food restaurant, then then that's a habit that needs to be broken, right? A smaller habit inside your big goal. So any goals, whether, whatever they are, break it down. Get really clear. Nothing is left, uncovered in these journals. So when we're journaling, if a feeling comes up, then you follow it. So always when you're journaling, follow the feeling. Journaling, I believe that's a spiritual time for me. I try and make it a spiritual time for me. So that I'm in tune with my higher self and my inner voice, and being really honest with myself. If it kind of sucks, if it's bringing up some feelings that kind of suck, sit with that for a minute. Just don't stop, right? A lot of the times we will put it down because it's very uncomfortable for us, and then we don't come back to it because we know it's going to be uncomfortable. So push through those times, because where our brain goes when we are quiet and journaling is where it's supposed to go. And those are the lessons we're supposed to be listening for and pushing through over these 4 weeks. So getting internal. All right. So awareness and mindfulness, more about this. When we have, bad habits, I put bad in quotes because, I just don't like internalizing things in a negative way. However, if they're not serving us, then let's be realistic, right? It's not a good thing. So when we have bad habits, these are the areas that we really need to dig into, because if it's a bad habit, meaning it's not serving us, it's not improving our health, it's making us even possibly more ill or less well, then we really need to dig into these, because there's a reason that we do everything that we do. Our actions are completely fueled by our thoughts and our emotions. So either a thought or an emotion starts a habit from the beginning. Sometimes, we start a habit and then it becomes a subconscious thing and we just don't really think about why we're doing it and, whatever, and it just goes on for years. But sometimes we're getting something. The hardest habits to break are when we're getting some sort of an emotional fulfillment every time that we do it. Those are the hardest ones to break. So smoking is a big one because it's done multiple times throughout the day. It is a very subconscious thing, just like the foods that we eat. We've programmed ourselves usually over many years to live this way. And I know from experience that when you're quitting a habit like this, sometimes it takes multiple attempts because for many different reasons, which I'm going to cover. But so we need to dig into these bad habits really deeply. So when you're journaling, be really, if they're not serving you, then why are we doing it? What are the feelings that it's bringing up for us before we do it? So right in those moments before we grab a cigarette or before we go for a beer or whatever it might be for you, what are the thoughts and the feelings right before that? While you're doing it, what are the thoughts and feelings that you're having? And then afterwards, like if you are a binge eater and you binge, afterwards, what are the guilt feelings that you have, or the uncomfortable physical feelings, or whatever else? Get clear with those, because until we're really clear about what we're avoiding, why change it? Why even change it? So we have to be clear on the good things that we're getting from these habits, and as well as the way that it might be making us less happy in our life, less joyful in our life. But the bad habits, I just want to stress that the bad habits that we want to move away from are the ones that we really need to dig deep on. Okay, because those are there usually in avoidance. Drinking and smoking can be sort of a numbing thing. It's kind of like usually avoiding some emotion that is, a painful emotion that we're trying to avoid. And so, working through some of those is going to be necessary for you. We don't need to get our gratification or our relief from grief or something from something that's making us sick. So we can shift that. And that's what we're going to work on over the next 4 weeks, is finding habits that make us feel good, help us through our grief and through some of the negative emotions without also impacting our health in a negative way. So mindfulness, that's what we're doing. We're paying attention to those emotions. And then why do we want to change? Notice, still taking notes here. Why do we want to change our habits or change our lifestyle or whatever it is? This almost always goes deeper. Our whys for doing things is almost always deeper than we recognize. And that's why we beat ourselves up so much when we don't hit them. So we will think okay, I want to lose weight because, you know, I don't feel good. Like I get indigestion and I'm feeling a lot of water retention, and it's my clothes don't fit me any longer. And, you know, what are some of the other reasons I'm trying to think of, that we want to lose weight? You know, body image. I'm tired of feeling like I don't, you know, like I don't look good in public, and all of those things were some of the things that I felt. So, but really, once I lost the weight, none of those things were my whys anymore. So, you know, like as my journey went and I was gaining pride in myself and I was accomplishing things and I was sort of stepping outside my shell a little bit because I was realizing a lot of my potential and the things that I was capable of doing and whatever, I started realizing how much of the reasoning was confidence. You know, like I wanted to feel good about myself. And I didn't realize that I could feel good about myself in the now, you know, that I thought that I had to get to this other place to feel good about myself. But during my journey, I wasn't really completely clear about that I was lacking self-esteem and self-love from the inside, you know, and didn't have anything to do with my appearance. It had to do with a lot of other things that I worked through. But so deeper than we think it's going to be. How does this change our lives if we hit this more than, you know, just the surface stuff that we're familiar with? How is it going to impact our day to day? You know, how is it going to impact us every day if we wake up and we don't have aches and pains? Or how is it going to impact our family members when they see us accomplish this? Is it going to build their own, you know, growth mindset and make them realize how capable they are of then changing their own situations in their life? Financially, how does it impact us financially? How much money do you save if you don't buy a pack of cigarettes every day, or if you aren't buying alcohol, or you're no longer buying soda or junk food, and instead you're buying just the clean stuff? It is a very common misconception that eating clean costs more. Very commonly, once you learn the habits, you know, the clean eating habits and the prepping and the, you know, not letting food go to waste anymore and all of the things that come with the lifestyle, you save money. So, you know, being real, you know, looking at it, you can tell just by looking at weight loss. It's gonna, you know, before I just shifted my mindset, it was, I want to lose weight for all of these reasons, but it's going to cost me a lot of money. It's going to take me a lot of time, you know, preparing all of my food. It's going to take me a lot of time planning everything all the time. I don't have any help. So, you know, that's also challenging. My family members are going to argue with me and not be happy about it. So I'm going to be up against that all the time. So you see how the negative stuff, or I can go, okay, I'm going to save a little bit of money. I'm going to inspire the crap out of my family. I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to feel good about myself. I'm going to prove to myself that I can do this for once and for all. You know, so these are the mindset patterns that we have going on, you know, and we get to choose whether we're just like not willing to fight with our family. You know, if you don't want to, then don't. You know, if you don't want to push through the resistance and get to the inspirational part to where your family's like, oh my gosh, mom, like, look what you did, or dad, or whatever. You know, oh my gosh, I'm making healthy choices for myself because you set a good example. That is the plus side to the arguing. You know, I tell my clients all the time, expect that they're going to resist. The more they resist, the more you can pat yourself on the back and know that you're doing your job as a parent. You're, you know, showing them the tools that they need in their life. All right, I got to take a drink real quick. Okay, so self-admiration is also a really big why that we all need to adopt right now. I'm going to get to a little bit more into this in a minute, talking about validating for ourselves our accomplishments. But for me, when I was losing weight, or gosh, shifting my clean eating, or cutting out soda, or cutting out dairy or gluten, or any of the things that I now can look back and say that I was successful at finally accomplishing, it was growing self-admiration for me and changing the way that I viewed myself. And that changed my entire outlook on life. I mean, I know that sounds kind of silly, but when you like who you are because you feel capable of doing things and helping other people and impacting other people's lives in a good way, it really changes all of the dynamics in your life. You no longer need other people to fulfill you when you feel like you're on track, and so I don't put a lot of things on my friends and family that I used to. And, and this is more life coaching than health coaching, maybe for some people, but the more you admire yourself, the better you do in your life, the more confidence you have, and the better relationships you have with other people, the less stress you have, just on and on and on. So when you are thinking about your goals, you really need to, and your habits, and shifting your habits, you really need to be thinking about how you'll feel about yourself along the way. Like, how is this really going to feel when you are, hitting it, when you're getting, when you're planning things out and then you're doing it and you're making improvements, not perfection, because I don't like perfection. We're not here to be perfect human beings, right? Nobody is here as a perfect human being. We're all in a growth cycle. So, but improvement in our health makes us feel proud of ourselves. So any improvement that you make is what you're looking for. Improvement, not perfection. Perfection sucks. I hate perfection because it's not real. So improvement, like everything. Oh, thank you. It's actually fading, and it's kind of irritating me that it's fading already, because now I've got to put more chemicals in my hair, which I have not done in years. So anyway, so what emotions and we went over this, but I want to touch on it one more time. What emotions do your bad habits bring up for you before, during, and after? So just want to touch on that one more time. Emotions and thoughts, that's what this is all about. And then this one's really huge, because people do not think about this one often. What emotions would it bring up if you change your habits? And is it a bad thing? Because, okay, I'm going to talk to you in just a second about this. Okay, so sometimes when we're shifting a habit, like I wanted to lose weight. However, when a spouse loses weight, it impacts the other person. And so there's a lot of subconscious stuff that goes on between, like, in a committed relationship, when one person is going through a lot of changes, and those things can really impact your decision making every day. So, be aware of that. If this is also financial, financially, if we up level really big financially, that puts our spouse in a different position. There's a lot of different things that impact our relationships, our dynamics in our lives with the people around us. And sometimes it's not like a really clear thought. It's very subconscious. So we know when we change XYZ, it's going to impact our relationship with this person, because they, whatever. So maybe we like to go out with a specific person and have a few beers, and it's like a monthly thing that we do or whatever. And it really, it's our friend who we get to spend time with and whatever else. But how inconvenient is it for everybody if I decide to stop drinking and don't want to be in that environment for a while because it's too tempting? So So, we might not put all this together. We might not think, oh, these are my habits that I'm doing every day. And if I stop drinking, I'm going to be not doing those anymore. But we might be feeling it on a core level that it's going to be just such a big change. And so we resist without even realizing that we resist. So these are all the subconscious mindset patterns that I want to talk, that I'm talking to you guys about, that we just don't know are even there. So with spouses, it's a really big thing. Significant others, really big thing, because we don't want to hurt them in some way, or have them internalize what we're doing in a way that's going to make them feel crappy or something. So that is where communication becomes super important, and what is important to you being communicated to the people in your life becomes super important. Because if you don't communicate the real importance, then they can assume a million different things as to why you're doing what you're doing. Oh, they don't want to spend time with me. They're just ignoring me. Oh, they're just doing this and that. But you have a conversation with somebody and you say, look, like, I'm concerned about my health because I just feel crappy and I'm getting older and my joints hurt all the time and I just whatever. So I'm doing these other things. So maybe we can do this other thing instead for a while, until I can get my shit together. Be real with them, and they will respect you for that. And then they will support you and become a support for you, which makes us successful. So again, just emotions and relationships, and all the stuff that's important to us is all the stuff that holds us back. So replacing one habit for another can often, okay, before I get into this one, I'm gonna go over here. I'm guessing that's Deb who said this. If it wasn't, then I'm sorry. It just says from Facebook. I want to change to be the best version of me. So that's how I live my life, right? I want to be the best version of me. But I love the crap out of myself exactly where I am. And that's what's important. So I'm not perfect, and I give that to myself. That's okay. I don't have to be perfect. I make mistakes. I have moody moments, like nobody's perfect. I eat ice cream randomly when I'm dairy free, like something will happen and something happens, right? But I do my best, and then I use that to become stronger. So, there's a lot of different things. I'm just picking ice cream. I know that's super innocent, but you know what I mean? We all do our things, and we're not perfect. And so being the best version, just be clear what that means to you. Does that just mean that you're just continually growing? Because that's awesome. If you just want to continually grow, and as long as you're patting yourself on the back and you're continually getting better, then that's awesome. But if you're not happy with yourself now, and you're giving yourself some abstract timeline, or something that isn't really clear as to when I finally, when I weigh 120 pounds and I have friends that are really great to me all the time, and my family members all appreciate me and all this stuff, then I'm the best version of myself. That's bullshit. That's crap. Get rid of it. Just love yourself for where you are right now, and just keep trying to grow and doing your thing. So I hope that that's what you mean, and supporting you in it. All right. So replacing one habit for another. This one, if you quit smoking, find something to take up that time. When you want that cigarette, if you can find something else, I'm a tea drinker. So a lot of the times that's, if I'm trying to get out of a habit, it's drink some tea. When I quit ice cream at night, that was what I did, was tea, so different things. Smoking, they now have vape pens. I touched on this earlier, where you can decrease your nicotine. So stick with the improvement. Sometimes it takes multiple steps, like we were saying before, in order to hit a habit change or a goal. So I think that's enough on that one. All right, so subconscious fears, take notes on this one. Subconscious fears hold us back. And that's, so going back to what I was just talking about, spouses and relationships, subconscious fears, things, get in touch with what, I'm going to try and think about adapting new when we are like fitness. A lot of the times we have like failed, we feel like we've failed many times at something, and so then we don't try it again. I talk about this with, eating vegetables and stuff. And, but, with fitness, it's the same thing. So with fitness is a funny thing, because fitness, we all feel like we need to be active, which is true. We need to keep our bodies healthy. But we usually feel like we have to force it upon ourselves somehow, so we have to go to a gym. We have to, go to a certain class, or we have to whatever. So fitness, that's, fitness, find what works for you. And then don't beat yourself up if that doesn't, if that's not working for you. Because a lot of the times we're trying to force ourselves into doing something that's just miserable, and why do something that's miserable? I would much rather, I'll be real with you guys. I would much rather turn on a show on Netflix on my iPad and get on my treadmill, than, get up early in the morning and go to a gym at 5 a.m., which was my job for a long time. So sorry, past clients. Then, get up at 5 a.m., go to the gym, because that's the only time I can work it out. And then it takes me an extra 45 minutes or an hour out of my day, because I have to, shower and drive back and forth and whatever else. So find what works for you. If you can YouTube videos and whatever, then do so. But the more education you have, in what's out there for you, then the easier it becomes. Same with nutrition. The more education you have, so that you know what to buy and where to shop and all of those things, the more education you have, the easier that it gets, after you have all your recipes on hand to grab and everything else. So, once you kind of start realizing some of the things that you're most fearful of, whether it's losing friendships or impacting other people negatively, or being judged because of your health choices. A lot of the times we have people in our life who are really judgy about things, and we will hear them talk about, healthy people. And, like, oh my God, like that has just got to be miserable, and I can't tell you how crazy it was after I lost my weight to see how judgy people were after I had lost the weight. I always thought people were judging me because I was heavy. And then once I got, started clean eating and stuff, people started judging me because I was just, too anal about everything, and I couldn't just eat what I wanted, and all of these things. And then after I lost the weight, I was being judged because now I just looked sick, or I just didn't look how people wanted me to look, how people expected me to look and were used to. So once we bring some of those fears into the light that we might be holding back because we care too much about what other people are thinking or something like that, it helps us work through it all. Then it doesn't become like such an issue. We're like, okay, people are going to judge us. That's going to be our story. So how is that going to impact us? And are we going to let it? Are we going to choose to just ignore it? Because that's what I choose. I choose to just generally, I trust myself. I trust what's best for me. For the most part, if people give me advice, I take their advice with a grain of salt, and then I make my own decisions. But for the most part, people don't really give me their opinions anymore, because I'm kind of confident in what I want to do with my life. But all right, so worthiness. I come across this with my clients more than I care to admit, because we all think we love ourselves. We defend ourselves when we're attacked, and all of these things. And so we think that we have a great relationship with ourselves, but 9 times out of 10, we really don't. 9 times out of 10, we're not admiring ourselves. We're not all of the things that create love in relationships, we don't really have with ourselves. So meaning kindness, really being kind to ourselves, and giving ourselves some grace when we're not 100%, and all of those things. That's love, right? And love is a verb. Love is an action. And so we act that way to ourselves when we love ourselves. When we love ourselves, we don't make ourselves sick. When we love ourselves, we don't create illness in our body. This is why I say the bad habits are the ones we need to look at the deepest, because there is some self-abuse going on when we are, when we're binging on sugar, and we know it can cause us diabetes, or if we already have diabetes and we're binging on sugar. There's a lot of things that later on we go, why would I do that to myself? Like, what in the world? That's self-love stuff. And that goes pretty deep. We'll get into some of this, of course, over the next 4 weeks, but I have a 25-page workbook that I go over for months with my clients, that we work through, because getting to the underlying stuff with the self-love and admiration stuff takes some work, because it's not obvious. It's like growing a new relationship with yourself and learning who you are, and then why you love yourself and all that. So do you really believe in your worthiness to be your best self? What does that look like? For me, being my best self means that I'm helping thousands of people, get healthier. I can financially provide for myself and my family, and I could independently if necessary. So that is something that I feel I'm worthy of. So this is the image that I create for myself of the person that I want to be. And then I think to myself, do I really feel like that person? Do I feel like deserving of that? And as you grow your relationship with yourself and the self-admiration, because you're going to be hitting this over the next 28 days, you're going to be hitting, shifting your mindset and learning a bunch of stuff about yourself. Your worthiness, the way you value yourself, it will increase over this time. So, do you believe in yourself? And are you being honest about that when you really think about it? When you envision yourself as the person that you claim to want to be, do you feel that that's you, or do you feel that that's somebody else? Because a lot of the times we look at other people that have the things that we want, that are living the way that we want to live, or we admire them because they have the habits that we wish that we have and don't have the bad habits that we have, or whatever. And so we will look at them and we just think that that's for them. We just are like, oh, that's great that they can do that, but that's just not me. I mean, I was born in a trailer park, right? I was a trailer kid. So why should I get to have a multiple 6-figure a year income, right? That's not my family. My family doesn't look like that. So subconsciously, for a long time, I did not feel worthy, even though I was striving. I opened my studio. I was striving for financial success. I still was looking at myself through trailer park eyes, and I was still looking at myself like that kid who fit in just perfectly in the trailer park, So now it's taken me 40 years of my life now to get to a point where I'm like, where you start out doesn't dictate where you end up, finally starting to shift my mindset to where I attempt things that I would have never attempted before, because I just didn't think that it was possible for me. So it is so powerful when you start really getting into this stuff, you guys. Every client I've worked with on their mindset stuff has just taken it and done really crazy, amazing stuff. So, and I hope I have a couple clients that watch this and tell their stories. I don't tell a lot of my own, hi Amanda. I don't tell a lot of my own stories about my clients because I'm a health coach. And sometimes I wish that I could, come out and just tell you guys like, oh my gosh, this just happened, and whatever. But there's just a privacy, I take it super seriously. And even if I don't tell names, sometimes I just feel kind of slimy if I go out and like brag about somebody else, I don't know how to explain it, but I wish I could, because there's a few of you in this group that are doing some pretty spectacular stuff that I would really like to share with you guys. All right, so validation. Validation comes from within. It has to. And because if it doesn't, if we're looking, nobody else is going to hit it for us. So how do I word this? Okay, so when you are seeking validation externally, people are going to disappoint you. You know, if you are waiting for somebody to pat you on the back for your attempts at changing your habits, yes, there are some amazing people who are going to do that, but there's also people that aren't, you know, that are preoccupied, you know, that have their own stuff going on and they're working on their own habits and their own stuff and whatever. So keep going back to that self-admiration that we're seeking here. You know, we're doing this for ourselves, and that's the only person that we need to do it for. So, you know, if somebody else is pushing you to get healthy, but you don't care about it, it's not going to work. You know, it might work for a while, but you're going to get resentful. You're going to internalize it in a bad way. It's going to cause conflict between you. Never a good thing. So always through inspiration if you want someone else to be healthier, or you want someone else to follow your lead. But forcing, you know, we don't want other people to force stuff on us. We're not going to force stuff on them. As far as, that's why we lead, right? We lead our family members. We inspire our family members. We encourage, and just, you know, for me, like, I'm super stubborn and I won't do anything that if somebody else is telling me that I have to do something, it would not be like, it just doesn't go over well. You know, it has to be, I have to agree with it. It has to be something that I want to do and whatever. So just don't expect other people to keep you motivated and inspired. This has to come from within. And if you are struggling for motivation and inspiration, seek out support groups online. Now there's just support. It's available to us if we seek it out through friends doing the same type of things and whatever. So don't stay inside your shell if you need support. Find people that actually care about what you're doing, because they are invested in it themselves. So if you can get spouses on board with it, then that's amazing. That is super, super helpful. But validation comes from the inside. All right, so I am going to start sort of wrapping up here, and I'm going to leave you guys with a visualization that I did this with Samantha the other day, actually. And it's something that for me, because I've mentioned that I have a big science background. And so in biology, cells, we were, looking at everything through a microscope and stuff like that. And so a cell, if you think about a cell, the stuff that's inside of our cells is what makes us healthy or not healthy. So we are healthy or not healthy from a cellular level, and we are detoxing and healing from a cellular level as well when it comes to health. So with osmosis, osmosis means that if you have a higher concentration outside of your cell than you do on the inside of your cell of any element, right? You have a higher concentration outside, it's going to work its way in, right? Those particles that are higher concentration are going to push their way into your cell and force what's inside your cell out. So when I'm talking about cellular cleansing and cellular healing, I am talking about bombarding your cells with enough healing nutrients to force toxins out of your cells. So if you can think about every bite that you take of something is either detoxifying your cells, forcing toxins out of your cells and replacing it with nutrients, or it's concentrating the outside of your cells with toxins and forcing the nutrients out of your cell, and then toxins are then going into your cell, right? This is real basic science here. I'm not making this up, but visually, this helps me time and time again with my habits, like with my daily habits and my my non-thinking, when you just go for a bite of something without thinking about it or whatever. This is an interruption that I use, which we get more into in a couple of weeks, interrupting our patterns. But this is something I use to interrupt my bad habits. I picture my cells, I picture my cells full of really awesome nutrients and vitamins and everything, making me all healthy and stronger and how I want to be. And then I picture like sugar and chemicals and like the villain, like the bad guys, doing the opposite if I'm ingesting them. And this is the same with chemicals that we lather on through our lotions and our soaps and everything if we're using toxins, which 99% of the market is toxic. Same thing, right? Chemicals going into our cells, our environment, the air we breathe. If we burn candles that are made with petroleum products, which is sad because, most candles are, that's why we see a lot of soy candles now made with soy instead of petroleum products, because if you're breathing it, it's still toxins that you're breathing. It's still going into your cells on a cellular level, making you sick. So I wanted to kind of leave you guys with that visual because it's very powerful, and we don't realize sometimes that this is what's going on, this all the time, 24 hours a day. So this is why people diffuse essential oils to kill the germs in the air and, whatever else. And this is why people clean with non-toxic cleaning products and buy non-toxic, lotions and deodorant that causes breast cancer, because once you become aware of some of this stuff, then you can start shifting away from it and then you start healing. So we are going to wrap up. So you're in charge, right? You get to choose what you do for the next 28 days, whether you are really mindful about what you're doing, paying attention to your emotions and your thought processes while you're doing some of the things that you're trying to get away from, and what are the thought processes maybe keeping you from adapting like a fitness routine or a healthier habit. So mindfulness, we're starting it right now, starting today for 28 days. This is going to go on. And what you do, how dedicated you are over the next 4 weeks will determine how successful you are with shifting your mindsets. Hi, I love you too. I'm sure you've got to be Deb or Amanda or somebody because you love me, right? So I just, dedicate yourself over these 4 weeks. I really created this program to make it as simple as possible, as little time constraints as possible. But you get to take the journal prompts and everything else and make it as deep as you want to. So if you're serious, now's the time to do it, right? It's totally free. 4 weeks. Now's the time to buckle down and prove it. So participate. And comment on posts, post inside the group, post your journal prompts, any questions you have, support each other. So every time you comment, that's participation. And then I'm giving away 2 50% offs for my upcoming healing intensive, holistic healing intensive in January, or 2 one-on-one sessions, whichever you prefer, which the one-on-one sessions would be completely free, nothing else, no commitment. So you can do as much as you want on this, and I just hope that you guys run with this as much as you can. Go buy the book. If you think that you might be feeling like not super capable of things, or that you have some mindset blocks going on, then that book will help you tremendously. Like I said, it's the beginning of all mindset work, that book is. So, and it's like it says $16 book, but I think you can get it for around $9 or something at Barnes and Noble. So check it out. All right, you guys, any questions that you have at all over the next, over this whole week? So I'm doing Monday live videos, 11 a.m. journal prompts throughout the week, and then I'll probably pop in on Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Friday, depending on what our journal prompts are, because sometimes I'll want you to work them over the weekend. But I'm leaving that open for things that come up. So as I see that we need to touch on a topic, or I need to go a little deeper on something, then I will do a live, hopefully in the afternoon, 4:00 p.m. or so Pacific time on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, one of those days. So you guys are getting a ton of coaching here. This is a lot. So I hope that you take advantage of it. So do your best and reach out if you have any concerns or questions, or need my help to level up at all. So let me know. All right, guys. Holding space for you like always, and I love you all, each and every one of you, so much for exactly where you're at in your journey right now. You don't have to change anything to be enough. You are enough exactly how you are right now. But I have to just be honest, and I admire the shit out of you guys for doing this. So love, love, love you guys. And I'll be back in here in a couple days to check in on you guys, as well as posting every day and getting your journal prompts in here. So today's journal prompt will be posted here. It'll have to do with what we just went over, and it'll be posted here in the next hour or so. So have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.